Hello, sixth graders. Third time, otherwise six, no. Third time, here's Mrs. P again with another review video where we're going to recap the order of operations. Again, you always know I have a few things that I want to stress to you, and not like stress you out, but kind of relay to you, inform you, remind you. There are very important things when you're thinking about order of operations. And of course, the very first thing you need to think about when you're thinking about order of operations is order. What order do I actually do mathematical operations in when I'm trying to solve problems? So I'm going to repeat that to you. Order of operations, what is it? It's the process in which you decide what order you solve mathematical operations in when they appear in a math problem. You have to know addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, parentheses, exponents. In what order do I solve those when they appear in a mathematical problem? So the best way for me to review this with you is to actually do it. So behind me on the board in this review video, we have an algebraic equation. I know it's an equation because, again, I'm going to remember if it has an equal sign, they want me to solve it. It's algebra because I see that beautiful thing right there known as a variable, which is a letter that stands for a missing number. And I want to solve this. So, again, since it's an algebraic equation, I must have one of two things. I must know what the variable is, or I must know what the solution is. And in this case, sixth graders, I went ahead and wrote what the variable equaled over here on the side. Now I'm going to look at it from the perspective of, how do I even know where to begin to solve this problem? How do I know where to start so that I can solve this problem? Well, if you recall in previous discussions and videos, Mrs. P talked about a lovely acronym known as PEMDAS. I'm going to write it again along the side here. PEMDAS. That other teachers might have explained to you meant, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Now that's all great unless you know what please excuse my dear Aunt Sally really means. Please is parentheses. Excuse is exponent. My, M, is multiplication. D, dear, is division. Aunt, A, is for addition. Sally, S, is for subtraction. And that really is trying to tell you that's the order in which you solve the operations in a math problem. Slight problem. You have to watch still how they appear when you're going left to right, because they really should call it GEMDAS, not PEMDAS, because certain operations can come together and it won't matter if one comes before the other. You just want to do whichever one comes first. And that grouping is right here. P and E, parentheses and exponents. You might have to do an exponent before you do a parentheses. It just depends on where it appears. Multiplication and division, they are inverse operations. So if division comes first in my problem and multiplication comes after, I'm going to do the division first because they are both at the same level of power. Then I have addition and subtraction, which again are like multiplication and division. Addition and subtraction are inverse. They have the same amount of power. So if I come to subtraction first, I'm going to do it before I do the addition if it comes after the subtraction in the problem. And this is where kids get confused. They haven't learned or weren't informed. However, and in whichever way, that addition and subtraction work together. Multiplication and division work together. Parentheses and exponents work together. And how they appear in the problem going left to right really matters when you're solving a mathematical sentence, a mathematical statement, a mathematical problem to you. If you don't follow that correct order, you will end up most of the time getting a problem incorrect, and you'll wonder, why is that? And it's because we haven't followed the order of operations correctly. So I'm actually going to do a problem for you today as a review so that you can watch it, look at it, understand it, question it, think about it some more, reflect on it, and then try to do it on your own, sixth graders, so that hopefully it stays with you as you progress through 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and yes, 12th grade when you're seniors, which is a long, long time from now, although it'll go like that fast. And mom and dad will be like, oh my goodness, my kid's in high school now. So here we go. Order of operations. My problem states, and I like to read the problem, and then I will remind you always to rewrite the problem every step of the way, okay? My problem states 4 cubed minus parentheses c plus 2 cubed parentheses divided by 2 times 5. So the first thing I'm going to tell students to do, since it's algebraic, is fill in the algebra part, fill in the variable. So I will rewrite it. 4 cubed minus parentheses, c is 2, plus 2 cubed parentheses divided by 2 times 5 equals. So now everything is filled in. I know all the numerical values. Now I can start following my order of operations, looking for parentheses and exponents. And I should do the parentheses first. Or, like I said, if it's not involved in parentheses, you can look for the exponents too. But since we see parentheses here, I'm going to do those first. So I'm going to look at what's lying in my parentheses. And I'm going to remember from previous videos that that exponent is inside this parentheses, and it is right beside that 2, which means it applies to the 2. So I really need to do it first before I do what's all in the parentheses, or I'm going to get the wrong answer. If I try to do 2 plus 2, my answer is going to be incorrect because the exponent doesn't apply to 2 plus 2. The exponent applies to only the 2. So in this case, I know I'm going to have 2 plus 2 times 2, ladies and gentlemen. And so I'm going to remember to put those in parentheses inside the parentheses. And now I'm going to have 2 plus, and I know 2 times 2 is, oops, and I messed that up already. It has to have another 2. Sorry about that, 6th graders. So I know that 2 times 2, and I know I shouldn't correct it, but I'm going to because it's messy and it's driving me crazy. 2 times 2 times 2, 6th graders, I know is really 8. So 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. So inside my parentheses now, I have 2 plus 8, which is 10. So I'm going to drag my board down, and I'm going to rewrite my problem again. And I'll try to change colors if I can. I now have 4 to the 3rd minus, inside my parentheses was 10. I'm going to leave it inside my parentheses. I still have divided by 2 times 5. I'm then going to go back and look at my problem again, asking myself about order of operations, PEMDAS. Are there any more parentheses? Yes, right here, but there's nothing else for me to do in them. I already solved what was inside the parentheses earlier. I'm then going to go, are there any more exponents? And yes, there is, right here, 4 to the 3rd. So 4 times 4 times 4 is what that really means. We know 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4, ladies and gentlemen, is 64. So now I can answer that. 64 minus parentheses divided by 2 times 5 equals. I'm going to move my board down just a little bit more. And as you can see, I rewrote my problem. So I've looked at parentheses, I've looked at exponents. Check, check, they're done and gone. I then look at multiplication and division, and this is another spot where kids will come into trouble. You will come all the way over here and try to do 2 times 5 and get 10. And then you'll say 10 divided by 10 is 1. And if you do that, you will be incorrect because multiplication and division are inverse. It's whichever one I come to first in the problem. And in this case, I come to the division first in the problem. So that's the part I should do. So I'm going to rewrite 64 because I haven't done anything to it. I'm then going to go 10 divided by 2, which is 5 times 5 equals. That's how the problem is to be done. And then I'm going to go back and say, is there any more multiplication and division? And of course, I now see that I have 5 times 5. So I'm going to do it. And it's 5 times 5. And I can even put it in parentheses if I want to make sure I do it correctly. And 5 times 5 is 25. And then lastly, I ask myself, do I have any addition or subtraction? And of course I do. I have 64 minus 25, which is 39. Now, 6th graders, I really want you to look hard at this order of operations problem. Look at the operations we did and why we did them. What order did they come in based on where they were placed? and what I know I needed to do in order to solve the problem correctly. So, check, check. That's video number 3, I think, on order of operations. Remember, you really want to pay attention to where the operation is and where it goes in the problem. And remember, it's about grouping, not individual pieces. Parentheses and exponents, look for them first. Multiplication and division, look for those second. Addition and subtraction, look for those third. In whichever order they come in, left to right in your math problem. So, that's it for this video. Remember, questions, questions. There's never too many, and there's never one that you shouldn't feel confident enough to ask, feel comfortable enough to ask your teacher, because that's why we're here, to help you, help yourself, but you must do that by knowing to ask questions. So, until the next video, Mrs. P is out of here again. Have a great day.